going on, all you ghosts and ghouls? It's the Curious Raven. Philadelphia is one of America's oldest cities, and it was the heart of the nation's fight for freedom. So it should be no surprise that around every corner you may run into some significant history and some spirits from the past. These are 5 haunted locations in Philadelphia that you can visit today. Alfreds Alley is the nation's oldest continually inhabited residential street. It's been home to thousands of residents over the last 300 years, so there's bound to be some residual energy left behind. But it's the spirit of a Revolutionary War spy who was hanged on Alfreds Alley, whose spirit is still seen scurrying through the street. Perhaps he's seeking refuge in some of the homes that still fly the Union Jack flag, as many British loyalists would have done at the time. Grumblethorpe was built in 1744 in Germantown, Pennsylvania. It was home to the Worcester family. That is, until the British Army forced them out of the home during the Battle of Germantown. A British general named James Agnew was injured during the Battle of Germantown and was brought to the estate. He bled out and died on the floor. His bloodstains can still be seen today. Many say that so too can his spirit be seen today, as a mist that comes out of the current bloodstains on the floor and wanders through the home. Many others have also seen the Worcester family housemaid named Justina, who still wanders through their home, tending to the family's needs. Betsy Ross is credited with designing and creating the original American flag. Today, her home and final resting place is a historical museum where you can witness live sewing and cooking demonstrations. You may also experience paranormal activity. Betsy Ross herself has been seen going about her business in her home, but it's the presence of a darker spirit that has gotten people's attention. Some have heard voices in the basements long after all the visitors have left for the day. Some have felt an ominous presence in the attic, with a former director being grabbed around her shoulder. Another worker who was so frightened she left through the second-floor window instead of walking through the home. It is believed that this is the spirit of a security guard named Howard Williams, who had an altercation with another guard and was shot and left overnight in the gift shop. He would later succumb to his injuries in the hospital. Perhaps his restless spirit is still seeking justice for his untimely passing. Benjamin Franklin's importance can be felt everywhere in Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia is his epitaph. There are businesses and restaurants and breweries that bear his name. His spirit can be seen in many places, including his final resting place at Christ Church Cemetery and Independence Hall. But you might just run into him at the American Philosophical Library. He was one of the founders of the American Philosophical Society, and it seems his spirit still likes to check in on things. There are many accounts of his presence wandering through the hallways, but one specific incident in 1884, when an employee of the library was knocked over by a ghostly entity rushing towards a bookshelf. Later, when giving a description of the phantom, it matched the exact description of Benjamin Franklin. Eastern State Penitentiary was completed in 1829 as the world's first true penitentiary. At the time of its completion, it was the largest building in America. The controversial Reformation method prevented prisoners from communicating or having any other human interaction during their incarceration. When prisoners were removed from cells, their heads would be covered with hoods to prevent communication and to maintain anonymity. Prisoners who broke the code of silence were dealt with in harsh and often inhumane punishment. The mad chair was often used to confine inmates for days. They were unable to move their bodies and were bound so tightly that some were required to have limbs amputated because of the circulation had been cut off. Some were dunked in cold water and left to hang on the prison walls during the cold winter nights. Probably the worst punishment was clamping an iron collar on the person's tongue and strapping their arms behind their backs and chaining their collars to their wrists. Any movement would cause the tongue to start tearing and bleeding. Many prisoners would die as a result of this punishment, including Matthias Macumsey, who was found dead in his cell 1 hour after having the iron gag placed on his tongue. With all the suffering and death, there were certain to be a number of hauntings at Eastern State. Due to all of the reports of paranormal activity, it is considered one of the most haunted places in the world. Some people have said they've heard people crying in pain, and as though they were being tortured. Others have heard someone calling their name or being tapped on the shoulder, only to turn around and seeing no one there. Still others have reported hearing loud, sadistic laughter. And there are numerous accounts of cell doors suddenly opening and slamming shut. Mobster Al Capone served his first prison sentence at Eastern State. Even he wasn't immune to the hauntings in the prison. Al Capone was haunted by the ghost of James Clark, one of the men murdered during the Valentine's Day massacre. Capone believed the man's spirit was rooming with him, and it had been reported that Al Capone would cry out in the sleep for Jimmy to leave him alone. These are just 5 locations that you can visit in Philadelphia. There are so many others that we will dive into in the near future, in Philadelphia and in other locations. If you like the video, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.